Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is a video response to the user known as mcon, I think I'm saying your name right, 2112. This man made a video response to my cyberbullying video, and I am going to address some clarifications and exactly what I meant in my video. And also, I'm responding to another video, so this is like a double video response in one video. And I just want to start off by saying thank you, mcon, so much for pronouncing my name correctly. Literally, when I started the video and you said this is a video response to Mr. Repzion, I literally screamed, "Thank you, Jesus!" Because most people don't pronounce my online screen name correctly, and out of my 100 and some videos, I say my screen name Mr. Repzion literally in every single video, and yet people still can't seem to pronounce it Mr. Repzion. They pronounce it Mr. Repzion, Mr. Repzion, and all these other pronunciations. And thank you for pronouncing my name right. You've earned a kudo respect point from me, the fact that you can actually listen. Thank you so much for pronouncing my name right. I know that sounds cheesy, but it really does mean a lot to me. And also, thank you so freaking much for your 14-minute response. I really love response videos, and it really makes me excited when I can see someone who actually wants to have a real, YouTube discussion regarding something through video responses, and it's not some video which is like 30 seconds long of some 10-year-old kid getting on the computer saying, "Cyberbullying doesn't exist because I was cyberbullied," and then they end the video. I have gotten video responses like that, and I normally don't accept video responses which are just 30 seconds long and say, "I don't agree, bye." Your video response was well thought out, and it was a very good response, and even called me out on a point which I didn't even notice when I made a comment response to your wife. So with that said, let's begin the video, and I apologize for the length of this video. It's going to be very, very long because I'm responding to two videos at once. So with that said, let's start.
I think that you are taking the process or the act of trolling and comparing it a little too much to cyberbullying. I don't know if you necessarily have the terms confused, but I think you're trying to make them too analogous of each other. I believe that you think that people see what they consider to be cyberbullying to be trolling.
I do, yes. I see a lot of people who see trolls, and they instantly associate a troll with being cyberbullied or bullied over the internet. And I don't believe that trolling is a form of cyberbullying.
But I think you're wrong in the respect that cyberbullying does not exist, and I'm going to tell you why. First of all, you made a comment, and I want to address this. You made a comment that if you have a situation where you're being bullied in life, real life, whatever you're doing every day, and that bullying carries over onto the internet, it is not cyberbullying. It is an extension of the real life bullying. You're wrong. I just think you're absolutely wrong, and I'll tell you why. There is a cyberbullying research center. I mean, every school has anti-bullying campaigns. There's anti-cyberbullying. There's all kinds of cyberbullying organizations now. The FBI has a cyberbullying and cyber-terrorism, all kinds of things. Now, this comes from the cyberbullying.us, which is a cyberbullying identification prevention response fact sheet from Dr. Justin Patchen, who says, cyberbullying is defined as willful and repeated harm inflicted through the use of computers, cell phones, and other electronic devices. End quote. Basically, we are referring to incidents where adolescents, could be adults too, use technology, usually computers or cell phones, to harass, threaten, humiliate, or otherwise hassle their peers. That is considered cyberbullying. Now, you, in your video, someone made a comment that basically said, well, I see your point, but let me find the video, or find the comment. It says there are times that, and I'm going to paraphrase, when trolling can turn into stalking or become a real threat. Offline. Just wondering if you agree or what do you think? Your comment was, if it becomes a real-life situation and threat to your life, it is not cyber anymore. So by that logic, if there is something in your real life that goes online, then it becomes cyber. You quoted and acknowledged the word cyber. Because cyberbullying is through an electronic medium. The definition of cyberspace, in addition to that, is the realm of electronic communication. That would be the internet. That's cyberspace, so bullying over the internet is cyberbullying.
I have to admit, you are correct in this instance, and you caught me in my own comment response of what I acknowledge that cyberbullying does exist. But let me clarify exactly what I was meaning in my video when I explicitly say cyberbullying does not exist. I did in fact mention that if you have a real life instance where you are being bullied in real life and it goes to the internet, that would be an extension of bullying. And then as you pointed out in my comment, I acknowledge what would be considered cyber, and it would be considered cyberbullying. So the extension of bullying on the internet is cyberbullying. However, I still stand by the statement that cyberbullying does not exist, and let me clarify what I mean. In my video, I was for the most part explicitly talking about complete strangers you do not know on the internet. They could be trolls, they could be cyber stalkers, they could be whatever, and these are people you don't know on the internet, they're complete strangers to you, and if they call you names, they call you whatever, they troll you, or try to stalk you on the internet, that's cyberbullying, and it's not. I don't believe that a stranger can quote-unquote cyberbully you, and here is why. Down below in the description, I have a link for the California, and I have a link with all of the state legislatures that have laws against cyberbullying. Now, if you read all these state legislators against cyberbullying, you will see that all of these state legislators state very clearly, and I quote from the National Conference of State Legislators on their actual website, it says, cyberbullying is used for electronic harassment or bullying among minors within a school context. In other words, bullying has to be a real-life situation at school within a school context, and if it moves to the internet, it is then classified as cyberbullying within legal terms. However, in my video, I was mainly talking about cyberbullying does not exist if it is a complete stranger. All the state legislators I read that's on the page I provided specifically state that cyberbullying, the only way for it to be classified as cyberbullying is it has to start within a school context within real life. So in my video when I said that cyberbullying is just an extension of real bullying, I'm wrong, okay? I was wrong in that aspect. You're right. It is cyberbullying if it's real life bullying in real life and moves on the internet. That is classified as cyberbullying. But as I just repeated myself again, or my third time, I was specifically talking about strangers who you've never met, which does not classify as cyberbullying because it's people you don't know and it's people you've never had a real life interaction with. Therefore, cyberbullying does not exist in that sense of talking and being bullied on the internet by complete strangers you've never met. Cyberbullying only exists when it's from a school context in real life to the internet.
You can also be trolled. Now, trolling is different. I'm going to leave a link to a video of mine that you can go watch, and anybody can go watch it. It was a video that was made as a joke. For the first time in the public arena, I am going to openly admit that the video was a joke. It was made to a friend a long time ago, and we were making a joke. Now, go to that video and read my comment section. You are going to see nothing but trolls. Predominantly. Mostly trolls. And you're going to see them curse and call me names and insult my IQ and my weight and all this other crap. That's trolling. Those are people that are faceless, nameless people that want nothing better to do than to insult you. Yes, that's trolling. But the cyberbullying aspect of it is completely different.
And I completely agree. These are faceless people you don't know. These are complete strangers. And that's the point that I was trying to drive, is that cyberbullying does not exist when you have a stranger you've never met, don't know in person, and they could be trolling you. Maybe they're cyber stalking you. They could be cyber stalking you. They could be trolling you. Even if they're cyber harassing you, I don't consider that cyberbullying, and cyberbullying doesn't exist in that context, only when it's in a real-life situation, and then it transfers to the internet.
So there was an incident a few years back where a young girl had been talking to what she thought was a young man on the internet, and it turns out that one of her neighbors, who was only, I believe, 4 doors down from her home, another girl she went to school with, the young girl's mother had created this account, had posed as a boy to talk to this girl and get information from her that could be later used against her to humiliate her. And the mother admitted to creating the account with the daughter and another woman who was her employee for just in that respect. And the goal was to humiliate her because she had heard or was told by her daughter that this young girl that later committed suicide, had spread gossip about her. So that is an example of cyberbullying that led to someone's death.
I actually completely disagree that this is not a case of cyberbullying. Now, I read this article that you provided from tons and tons of different sources, but what I was mainly looking for is the trial that occurred after this girl committed suicide. I wanted to see how the trial resulted, and I found out that this trial resulted in the mother getting off. Why did she plead not guilty? Because they couldn't actually prove that it was cyberbullying. Now, down below in the description, I have a somewhat lengthy article which goes into detail about the trial that occurred after this girl committed suicide from what this mother did. This is a sad case where the mother's employee got on the MySpace account, said something to this 14-year-old girl. It was very, very, very simple terminology. It was to the liking of, this world would be better without you, and then this 14-year-old girl goes and hangs herself over a simple statement like that. However, the reason this mother was proven not guilty is because they can't actually prove that it was cyberbullying. Cyberbullying is intended to inflict harm or emotional distress or whatever upon a victim. It was not the mother's idea. In fact, the mother didn't even create that account, although the mother was present during when that account was created. And the reason this is not a case of cyberbullying is because they can't prove that it was, and I quote, "To convict Drew, the mother, of a felony charge, prosecutors would have to need to prove 2 things. That Drew accessed MySpace without authorization, which would be like hacking or whatever, and did it for the sole purpose of committing a torturous act. In this case, to intentionally harm Megan Meir." Because all that was said is that this world would be better without you, and this girl went emotionally over the edge and killed herself over a simple statement such as that. So let's reverse the situation. Say I create a MySpace account, I want to find out what my ex-girlfriend is saying about me, and in the process, I find out what my ex-girlfriend is saying about me. She's gossiping. I get mad, and I simply say, you know what, the world would be better without you. And as a result, my ex-girlfriend puts a bullet through her head. Did I just cyberbully my ex-girlfriend? No, because what I said never was intended to harm her. What I said was never intended to make her hurt herself or cause emotional distress to her. So when you say that this article is a result of a girl being cyberbullied, I completely disagree, because one, you can't prove that the mother and the employee Grills or whatever actually tried to intend to harm this girl. Because it was one simple statement which brought this girl over the edge to kill herself. And I honestly believe that it was never the intent of the mother, nor was it the intent to emotionally cause distress to this girl or humiliate her like you claimed. Because if that was their intention, I believe a lot more would have been said in the email, except for the world would be a better place without you. So yeah, I don't think that article is a result of cyberbullying. I believe that case is a result of a girl with a very low self-esteem. I believe this case was a complete accident in the sense that the mother never intended for this girl to go over the edge and commit suicide over something that which was said. I mean, I've said things to people like, the world would be a better place without you. I have said that to people. And if they committed suicide over me saying that, that's sad, but that also shows that there's some serious, maybe mental issues or self-esteem issues with that other person to kill themselves over such a simple statement over the internet. This kind of goes back to my point, which I mentioned in my first video, about people placing value in words over the internet. And then they cause damage to themselves because they are placing value in words from people who, in this case, this Josh, the fake account that was created named as Josh, was someone they didn't even know.
There have been incidents. Someone very close to me who has not only been cyberbullied by someone she has never met, but also has had a stalker. Now, some of you know, some of you don't. Jacqueline Four is my wife, Heather. She was targeted by a griefer, which is basically an online gamer. And what these individuals do is they go online and they find people online. They target them, they choose them, and they harass them. They bully them, they belittle them, they threaten them. They do everything they can to make this person feel like they're being stalked, harassed. Her account was broken into, her docs were dropped, and what this griefer did not know. Now this is a group. Griefers are basically, a lot of them are younger, like kids. I'll call them kids. Younger people, young gamers that do nothing but sit online, and they take real life people from that are on the internet and turn it into their own little video game. So they take people's lives and turn it into a video game. Now this individual didn't know her. She's real. Whoever this person was is a real person. But this was an online thing. This was a cyberspace situation. So it was cyberbullying.
I disagree. I do not think this is a case of cyberbullying because, as state legislators state, it never started with a school context and then led to the internet. The situation you described here would be classified as cyber-stalking. Cyber-stalking is not the same thing as cyberbullying. Now, what I've noticed you've done here is you're intermingling different definitions and mushing them all together into cyberbullying. So, let's say cyber-stalking. Cyber-stalking is, and I quote from the link in the description, cyber-stalking is the use of internet, email, or any electronic communication stalked, generally for a pattern of threatening or malicious behavior. Cyber-stalking may be considered the most dangerous of the three types of internet harassment, based on posing credible threat or harm. See, these are all different things. These are different, separate terminologies which have the word cyber in front of them. Cyberbullying is not the same thing as cyberstalking. Cybercrime is not the same thing as cyberbullying. Cybercrime encompasses identity theft, hacking your accounts, things like that. Those are highly illegal, and those are classified as cybercrime. And you can't associate identity fraud and all this stuff into cyberbullying because you're mushing together 3 or 4 or even 5 different separate terminologies used into one, and you can't do that. Like I said earlier, I don't believe cyberbullying exists unless it starts in real life at a school context, as all the state legislators describe it this way. Unless it starts at a school context and then moves onto the internet, then that's classified as cyberbullying. If it's a complete stranger you've never met, that, in this case, your wife was cyber-stalked or cyber-harassed, it's not the same thing as cyberbullying because you've never met them, and it has to start in a school context first and then move on the internet.
Now, what this griefer did not know, which most of the things from this griefer situation did not go into her personal life, but what the griefer didn't know, and what some other people don't know is that Jack LaFleur had and has a real life psychotic stalker in the world who found her online initially and made threats to her personally to come and find her off the net in real life, who actually lived in the same state that she lived in, that I currently live in now. He's now somewhere else. He's actually in jail. He went to jail for the a failed bombing of a post office. So that was one of his other crimes. But he is responsible for harassing, threatening, and basically making sexually explicit comments to women and young girls online. That is his MO. He doesn't meet these people. He is a coward. He is a piece of garbage. He sits behind his computer, and he's an armchair cyber bully.
And again, I just want to point out, he is not a cyber bully, he is a cyber stalker. The definition is very clear. Cyber stalking is the use of internet, email, or electronic communications to stalk or generally refer a pattern of threatening, which could be threats to your wife or even sexual explicit remarks to young girls. It is threatening or malicious behaviors, and this is what this psychotic dude that you have here is doing. He is cyber-stalking young girls. He is cyber-stalking your wife. He is doing this stuff, and it is known. The definition of what you're describing here is cyber-stalking, not cyber-bullying.
Now, just because Heather puts videos on YouTube, just because she's a woman, just because she's pretty, I guess she could close her channel, stop making videos. How is that in any way, shape, or form a justified alternative to avoid cyberbullying?
I'd like to clarify, that's not exactly what I meant. When I said that it's avoidable, I don't mean turning off your computer and just running away. That's not what I meant, because if you do that, you're a wimp, you're a wuss. I said that it's avoidable, this is what I mean. YouTube, for example, you can make your YouTube videos private. You can make your YouTube so comments are approval only. You can make it so, and a lot of people don't know this, you can make it so your YouTube profile is completely private, yet people can't even click on or go to your YouTube profile. You have things which you can control and avoid these types of instances, such as being cyber stalked. For example, you even have Facebook. Facebook, you can set on your Facebook to where people cannot search you in the search bar. They cannot find you through Facebook search engine. You can set it up that way. You can set it up so you can delete posts if someone's trolling you or trying to contact you. You can block them over Facebook. You can make it so people can't even see your photos. You can make it so people can't even add you as friends on Facebook. You have all these options to which you can avoid these types of cyber stalkers or whatever. I never meant to simply not use the computer. That's ridiculous. The internet is a very big part of our world nowadays, and to say that someone's bullying you or cyber stalking you and you just turn off the computer, that's crazy. That's not what I meant. What I meant was that you can avoid it by using the computer abilities that they provide you. Facebook provides you with so many abilities to on Facebook. Now, I have my Facebook public so people can see everything I write, everything I upload, yada yada yada, because I don't care about being cyber stalked or someone. I really don't. I don't care about it, and it doesn't concern me. I mean, my address is already on the internet. It's in my YouTube videos. It's on my Facebook, my number, everything. A lot of people say I'm crazy for doing that, but I honestly don't care because it just doesn't bother me that people have this information about me. I'm a very open person. Yeah, I never meant to simply not use the computer to avoid it. When I say it's completely avoidable, it is in the sense that you can use the options YouTube gives you to not get trolled, to not have people look at your profile, etc. You have the options to do this, and you have the option to avoid it.
This griefer situation, this stalker situation that starts off online, but someone decides to make it personal. But they still, even if they make it personal and they still stalk you online, they're still cyberbullying, or, I mean, it turns into an illegal criminal activity, but it's still considered cyberbullying.
By state legislators in the links I've provided, it's not considered cyberbullying because it never started at a school context or started in real life. Now, if it started online and then it starts to proceed to real life, the actual reverse, that is what is known as cyber stalking. And like I said, I'm sorry for repeating myself so much, but like I said, you're intermingling different definitions such as cyber stalking or someone wanting to meet with you in real life or trying to find you in real life through the internet. You're associating that with cyberbullying, and that's not the correct definition or terminology to be using. So with all that said, in my video response to MCON, I hope this clarified some information regarding my stance on what I meant by saying cyberbullying does not exist. However, let's move on to the second video response, which is not going to be as long. I just want to cover it very, very briefly.
My question would be to him then. So, what if I was a troll that copy and pasted your picture from your page or one of your videos, put it in Photoshop, and made sure I made it look really good and didn't change the picture, just dressed it up to look like a good picture, maybe even give it a different background. Or I take your picture and maybe I go to the sex offenders list of any state of my choice, and I copy and paste your picture over the top of somebody else's picture. And then I take that posting and I put it into a blog form and I post it up on the internet so everybody that comes along and sees it sees your face and recognizes you as a registered sex offender. So that would not be cyberbullying?
If you were to take a photo of me, edit it, Photoshop the photo, and put me up in a state as a registered sex offender, that would be considered in legal terms known as fraud. Fraud is an intentional deception made for personal gain or to damage another individual, and that would be fraudulent towards me. Fraud goes in the legal definition known as cybercrime. Cybercrime encompasses exclusive certain things such as identity theft, online scams, online frauds, hacking of one's account. That is considered cybercrime and is not considered cyberbullying. So if you took a photo of me, photoshopped it, put me as a registered sex offender, no, that's not cyberbullying. And even if someone did that to me, I wouldn't consider it cyberbullying. That would be attempting to be fraudulent towards my character, which in definition is labeled under cybercrime, which involves, as I just said, specific acts such as hacking one's account and identity theft, etc., etc.
I have to ask you this question because I've seen people go to the lowest extremes. The lowest extremes. And I've seen this happen, as it happened to myself. Okay? I've had everything thrown at me. I mean everything. From being a pedophile to an animal abuser to alcoholic, drunk to... And I understand everything that this guy's saying. Okay? Well, here's another scenario for you. What if I was to mimic your page? I mean mimic it. Pay attention to every little detail of your YouTube page. Copy it to a T. Maybe you take one capital letter like an example of I. If I use a little I and I put a capital I up on YouTube, you can't really tell the difference, even with the L's. Try it once. You'll see what I'm saying. It don't stand out. Person has to have a real keen eye to even catch it. And if I knew this tactic, which I do because people's already did it to me, okay? I can mimic your page to a T. I can go to everybody's YouTube account that I can think of and I can slam them, call their names, do anything I want to piss them off. And I'm using your page, your picture. So they look at you as the one doing it to them. But that would not be cyberbullying, right? Okay, that wouldn't bother you a bit. You wouldn't be bothered by that? If I come onto your page and I went through your friends list, went through your subscribers list, and I mimicked your page to 100% perfective art T, and went around and done this to everybody, and they all thought it was you. The only people no different are the people that personally know you. The majority of your friends list are people who's never met you in their life. Isn't that correct? Do you follow what I'm saying? You might want to rethink your decision when there's no such thing as cyberbullying, because when it comes right down to it, that's like I said. What if I took your picture and I put it onto the sex offenders list of a state and made it look like it was legit, it was real, posted it up in blogs all over the internet to be seen? Okay, and then you said, well, you can simply not be on your PC, they can't bully you.
Here's the thing. If you actually made a YouTube profile copying me, I wouldn't care, and I wouldn't consider it cyberbullying, because number one, I don't know who this person is, and as I explained earlier in the video, cyberbullying only exists in the context when it's at school and then leads onto the internet. And because the person doing it is a complete stranger, I don't know who they are, it's not cyberbullying. That said, I'm a YouTube partner, and if you actually want to copy my YouTube profile to an exact match, you'd have a very difficult time unless you were an actual YouTube partner, because there are certain features within a YouTube partner. There's certain features that a YouTube partner has versus over a normal just YouTuber. And unless you're a YouTube partner, you wouldn't be able to copy my profile to exact anyway. And now if you had a photo of mine and you used it for your profile, I wouldn't care. People have done it before. I've seen pictures of myself on 4chan with dildos. I've been posted to 4chan numerous times, and it doesn't bother me a bit because they're trolling me, and it's not cyberbullying because I don't know them and it never started at a school context. So what you're describing here, the two situations of the sex offender, number one, that's considered fraud/slander and is not considered cyberbullying in legal definitions. And secondly, the situation about someone copying my YouTube profile, no, I wouldn't consider it cyberbullying because number one, I don't care. Number two, you probably couldn't copy my profile to begin with perfectly anyway because I'm a YouTube partner and the person copying my profile has to be a YouTube partner in order to do it an exact representation of it. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. I don't consider either case would be cyberbullying. So before I end this video, I just want to make a clear distinction about cyberbullying and repeat myself one final time. Cyberbullying does not exist if it is a complete stranger over the internet or it happens to be someone trolling you and you accuse them of cyberbullying. I believe that if you do not know a person over the internet and they are a stranger, they cannot cyberbully you. Now they can, however, cyber stalk you, and all these other use fraud. They can use cyber-terrorism, cyber-crime. They can use these things, those other elements, but not cyberbullying, because cyberbullying, as I stated in the article I provided, is when a real-life bullying situation in a school context in real life is transferred to the internet. It is then classified as cyberbullying. Now, I made the mistake in my video of saying it's an extension of bullying. I was wrong there. MCon pointed me out in that fact. He pointed me out on that, of what I was saying, and I admit that. I was wrong. However, I only believe cyberbullying exists when it's people you actually know in real life, and it goes to the internet. So with that said, I hope this really cleared up the whole discussion of what I meant by cyberbullying does not exist. And one final point. I've noticed a lot of people do this, not necessarily the two people I made my video response to, but you can't compare real-life bullying to cyberbullying. Both are two different things, and what I mean by that is, for example, look at cyber-sex. Cyber-sex is not the same thing as real sex. Having physical sex with someone is completely different than having virtual cyber sex with someone. Likewise, it's the same way with real bullying versus cyberbullying. Cyberbullying encompasses text, like writing text on the screen for the most part, or images, whereas real bullying can pertain to, and actually have physical violence and domestic violence towards an individual. Although I would say words in person are a lot more damaging than words online, because words online are interpreted and transcribed by you. I could call you a faggot. And I could call you a faggot in real life, and you could maybe see from my facial expressions, my tone of voice, that I was joking. However, I could call you a faggot on the internet, and you could be offended and actually think that I actually mean what I'm saying to you, and you may go put a bullet through your head for something completely pathetic that I said over the internet. I just want to make that clear distinction. Cyberbullying is not the same thing as real-life bullying, and there is a big distinction between the two. And if you don't know the difference between cyber sex and real sex, well, let's just say you need some sex education. With that said, I'm Mr. Repzion, also known as Daniel Silsbach. Thanks for watching, and peace the rep out.